Welcome back, everyone, to today's Explainer. We're jumping right into a completely fascinating case study on intentional parenting. We're going to be looking at the unique family dynamic of a mother named Elena. She's got this totally unconventional, yet incredibly effective approach to raising her kids, Maya and Leo. And her main focus is the absolute architecture of character. Okay, let's dive into this.
I want you to really think about this for a second. Seriously, how far would you go to teach respect? What are your hard boundaries as a parent, or maybe a mentor, when a kid just completely steps out of line? You know, it is so easy to talk about instilling good values, but when you're in the daily grind, man, it can be tough to hold the line. Well, the source material we're digging into today tells the story of a mother who drew a literal line in the sand.
Section 1. The philosophy of respect.
Before we get into the wild story of what Elena actually did, we kind of need to understand where her head was at. See, Elena defines discipline as something rooted in deep, deep love, but it's aimed strictly at teaching respect for absolutely everyone, no matter what their position in life is. So for Elena, respect isn't just some nice-to-have behavioral bonus, right? It's a total non-negotiable. It's the whole shebang. If her kids lack respect, everything else literally stops until that lesson is learned.
Section 2. The commute consequence.
So here's what happened. When Elena's daughter Maya was just in primary school, she showed some serious attitude toward David, the family's driver. And boom, that crossed the non-negotiable line. To teach Maya that the convenience of a private car is a privilege and that respect has to be given to every single person, Elena handed down a pretty severe consequence. Maya had to take public transport to school for the rest of the term. She completely removed the privilege of convenience because Maya had to understand the hard way that bad behavior has real, difficult consequences.
Just picture this grueling routine. Every single morning, 5 a.m., Maya's alarm goes off. By 6:30 a.m., she's out the door. Her morning commute now meant navigating this dark overhead bridge and waiting at multiple bus stops just to get to her local elementary school. And this brilliantly illustrates the sheer severity of the punishment, right? Especially when you compare it to just hopping into the back of a comfy car. It was a dark, early, and honestly exhausting routine.
But, Elena wasn't being reckless here. She was super calculated. There were very specific rules to this commute. First, Maya absolutely had to carry her own heavy school bag. Nobody was lifting a finger for her there. Second, Sita, the family helper, did go with Maya on the bus just to make sure she was safe. But third, and this is the absolute kicker, David, the driver, would only pick Sita up after Maya was safely dropped off at school. So the adults made sure she was safe, for sure, but there were absolutely no free rides or shortcuts for Maya. She had to earn it.
Well, every lesson faces that ultimate test, doesn't it? Maya's came one morning when Elena actually happened to be overseas. Sita had to call Elena to report an incident. While they were doing this commute, Maya tripped on the uneven steps of that dark overhead bridge. It was a hard fall, hard enough that her pristine white school uniform ended up bloodied.
Now, the source material notes something truly incredible here. It says, though Sita offered to carry her bag, Maya refused, fearing she would disappoint her mother by taking the easy way out. Think about that. Despite being in pain, despite the bloodied uniform, and knowing her mom wasn't even in the country, Maya's internal motivation just held strong. She flat out refused the easy way out. Elena stayed unyielding through the whole term, and because of that intense consistency, Maya truly absorbed the immense importance of humility.
Section 3. Values in action.
Okay, so we've seen the super intense side of Elena's parenting. But here's the thing about strict boundaries. They have this amazing ripple effect. Maya's younger brother, Leo, learned entirely by observation. He watched his sister going through those grueling early morning commutes. He saw the absolute standard Elena set. And because of that, Leo naturally just grew into this kind, sweet boy without ever needing to face those harsh consequences himself. The culture of the house had simply been established.
You can see this respect playing out every day in what we can call the both hands ritual. Both kids are taught that whenever they interact with cleaners, attendants, or foreign workers, they have to do 3 things. 1. Acknowledge the worker. 2. Present any tip or gift using both hands, which is a traditional sign of deep respect. And 3. They get an encouraging thumbs up from Elena. The source points out that service workers are constantly surprised to be treated with that level of profound respect by such young kids.
Section 4. Integrity over academics.
Zooming out a bit to the macro level, there's a huge contrast in Elena's overall parenting philosophy. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how incredibly strict she is on her non-negotiables like integrity, respect, and attitude. But on the flip side, total freedom.
She never forces her kids into specific fields of study, no forced extra tuition, no mandated religious attendance. She encourages them, absolutely, but leaves those massive life choices entirely up to them.
In fact, when you look at all the extracurriculars parents usually push, like, I don't know, advanced math or coding, it's wild that Elena only insisted on 2 specific skills, first aid and self-defense. That's it. It brilliantly reinforces that her focus is firmly rooted in practical survival, safety, and character, rather than just checking off those typical parental status boxes.
0. Literally 0. That is the exact amount of discipline Elena uses when it comes to grades. While she's incredibly hardcore about character, she firmly believes discipline is a tool reserved strictly for shaping who her kids are as human beings. It's definitely not for punishing a B- on a report card.
Which brings us to the end of our explainer today. And I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. Look at your own life, or maybe how you're guiding the next generation. Are we disciplining for grades, for convenience, and keeping up appearances? Or are we, like Elena, disciplining for character? It's a pretty massive question that really challenges the core of what we truly prioritize. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today as we unpack the architecture of character. Keep learning, keep questioning, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.